What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Limitless Business Owners Podcast. My name is Andrew Giorgi, and I'm here with my co-host of the podcast, Dan Fisher. If this is your first time listening to the podcast, first of all, we want to welcome you. Okay, we're super excited to be on this journey, this business owner journey with you, and help you along the way. Okay, our whole goal with this podcast and really our passion in life is to bring the everyday business owner content and stories they can relate to, and also fresh new perspectives, fresh new mindsets, new thoughts, new ideas, strategies, tactics to help you grow your business. Okay, if you take one thing out of each episode and start implementing it into your life and business today, we promise you're going to start seeing massive growth. Let's hop into the show. What is up, guys? We're back again. It's the Friday episode. Twice a week. I'm actually kind of liking the new schedule.
Me too. I think a lot of people, they probably don't have to sit down and have such a commitment to listen to these poor guys.
Right. It's quick, and you get the information and then you move on. Mm-hmm. Well, hopefully you don't just move on. Hopefully you're like implementing it, but it's easier to digest, which I think is something that we all want. When I look at, I'm always trying to speed my learning up, so if, there's actually apps for books too that you can pretty much get the key things out of the book, which has its pros and cons.
I love that.
I do too, and that's what I'm always trying to do that's what we're trying to do for our audience, right? Can we take information that we're learning and shorten the time for you to learn to where you don't have to commit a month reading a book where you can learn it in 15 minutes, what you need to know.
Yep.
That's powerful.
Yep. And everyone should be investing in something like that, whether it's Audible or something like Mentorist or something. It's basically putting a data hard drive into your head and downloading it.
I don't know what my camera's doing right now. It's gonna take a picture right now. I really don't know what's happening right now. There it is.
That was funny.
There it is. I don't know why.
I hope it was a good picture.
It wasn't. I don't know what just happened. It just randomly did that. It turned black, did that thing, and now here we are. So
it was in family group photo mode.
Like if you're listening to the episode, I'm really hoping that this is still recording. But if not, then we'll just shoot another one later.
Yeah, it looks like it is.
Cool. I mean, that was weird. I don't know what the video is going to look like. Hopefully you're seeing that little still shot from me trying to edit it because it's pretty funny. So if you're listening to this on Spotify, Apple, wherever else, hop over to YouTube and see it so you can see the weird face I'm making inside of that stale photo.
That'll have our most viewed YouTube for sure.
It might. Well, cool. Today we're going to talk about consistency. Okay. And I think we've all heard this before. And I don't think enough of us take consistency serious enough inside of our own lives. We set goals. We want certain results. But then most people fall short of those, right? So they stay average. And the difference between those game changers, and we all know those game changers, right? We look at them through the lens of probably social media, and we say, man, they're so lucky. Or they have everything that I want, right? And what we don't see is the years of consistency that those people have put in to get where they're at in that one moment in social media that defines the result that you want.
And before that, you don't see the years of maybe inconsistency that they didn't necessarily do it right.
Absolutely. And then they figured this consistency thing out.
Right.
And we see it with a couple of our friends that are starting to make some noise, even on the online space. They're just consistent in posting every day for years, and they kind of ignore the results at first. And we'll get to this. And they're just committed to whatever they're doing.
Yep.
Right. So if you want to be a game changer in whatever area you're going for, you have to develop some consistency in the actions that are going to lead to that. So whether that's working out, whether that's, growing your business, or maybe it's becoming a better leader for your employees, it's going to take change in your actions, but then consistency in those actions over time, they compound, and then it equals that one result that you're really wanting to obtain.
And nowadays, consistency is paying out more than it ever has. Look at all the social medias, right? You get paid for being consistent because that's their business model. They want content to be flowing So they're going to reward the people that are doing it consistently, where people
Yeah,
are actually starting to show up. So it's paying out even more than it was, 10 years ago.
absolutely. And that's I think just the average person. There's so many things in our life that can derail us. And I think just where we're at as a society is if you just develop some consistency, you're going to able to separate yourself from the rest of the pack, right? You're going to become the 1% by just becoming more consistent, because the 99%, they're just filled with distractions and they want that instant gratification, to where if they don't get, if they work out for a week and they don't see the results they want, they quit,
Hmm.
right? That's the kind of society we live in now, instant gratification, uh, you know, and if they don't get the result right away, they quit. They're
Yeah.
done. Most people don't commit to something for years, and most people aren't willing to wait for something for years. And I think that's where I'm going to challenge you to change your thinking. And it's something I'm doing in my life. You have to be super conscious of it, of changing your thinking of like, okay, if this doesn't happen in 4 weeks, that's okay. It's not
Hmm.
supposed to happen in 4 weeks. So my expectations are wrong. So it's going to take 4 years.
Right.
Right? Now, if my expectation is 4 years and it happens in 2 years, I'm going to be happy. Right.
Hmm.
So, and I think that's where we have to be. And we have to get out of society's thinking of it has to happen right away just because we're seeing it on social media from this person and that person. Okay. So if I'm not there, that means I can't ever get it. No, you just need
Hmm.
to develop some consistency.
Right.
A couple of keys that I have 4 keys I'm going to share. And I know Dan's going to chime in on these as well. But the first one is like, you have to get organized and plan, right? We have to start understanding what we're going after, right? And then you have to create, we've talked about routines before, the power of routines,
Hmm.
right? But this is where that's actually a routine is just a plan, like getting your life organized and planning, right? And I don't want this to be about routines, but that's typically the first thing is identifying where you want to go and creating a plan of action to get there, right? Understanding the actions that you have to take to get there, right? So if I want to lose 10 pounds, well, maybe the action that I have to take is walking 30 minutes a day, every single day. Okay. And I can't do it for 3 days or do it one day, wait 4 days, do it another time. I'm not going to see the results I want to see. I have to make it a daily consistent action.
Yep. And the benefit of planning too is that whenever you can put it on paper, first of all, you see it, but also you can make it attainable to what you can do. Like if it's just an idea in your head and you're going to be like, I'm going to go work out for 3 hours a day at the gym. That sounds like a great idea and sounds amazing when you tell people. But whenever you really think about it, is that something that you can attain?
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that you can maintain? And that's where, if you can kind of have that same thought of, hey, is this objective attainable, measurable? Then let's go for it. And then that's where that plan could really help.
Yeah. And, and that actually, I know people do that. I know people sit back and say, well, I'm just going to go hard.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go 3 hours a day, which that's like a bodybuilder schedule, right? Like
Maybe even
you're
more.
right. You're holding yourself to a schedule that you're just not like, you're trying to go to level 100, we're
Yeah.
talking about it. You got to go through level 1 first. So it's like, and I think we think we're going to take these big bites, right? Like we're going to eat the cheeseburger in 3 bites instead of, hey, let's take 300 bites and
Yep.
we'll accomplish the same thing, So, and that's the instant gratification. You think, well, I'm just going to go super hard. I'm going to go super long, and you end up getting burnt out because it's not, you can't maintain that lifestyle.
Yeah. And planning, you can put in breaks and rests,
Yeah.
because going back to 75 hard when I did it and it's every day, it's great. It's a good learning tool. But I've done a different workout routine since then, and it is so valuable to put in breaks and rests in between in your days, because you can go in the next day harder. But if you go and plan those breaks, you can expect them. And then let's say maybe you miss one day, then you can kind of rearrange some things and you don't miss it. And I know you're going to touch on that here soon, but I just want to,
Yeah.
Plan breaks too.
Well, and we talk about, I think that was one of our earlier episodes, we talked about the importance of rest.
Mm-hmm.
Typically the growth and the strength building, like, I think, uh, inside of the rest is where growth happens.
Yep.
new ideas come. So if you're
Yep.
if you're going like if you're a business owner and you're going hard and you want to become a better leader or you want to help your business grow, well, guess what? Thinking 24/7 is not going to help that. You got to have some rest time too. And in that rest time, new ideas actually come up, right? You're giving your brain a break, right? Same thing with working out. If you think you're going to work out 3 hours a day, every single day, well, you're not giving your body the proper rest. You're actually it's going to be more detrimental to your journey, right? So you have to think about the rest portion. I don't know which episode number that is, but we have one tailored towards rest. I know I prioritize rest. We can't prioritize rest too much, right? Our life can't be about rest. Our life isn't about rest, right? But we need to use rest strategically to help us recoup to get to our goals. Right. So get organized and plan. The second thing is know your why, right? And I'm not talking the actual goal. So like your goal might be, I want to double my revenue next year, or the goal might be, I want to lose 20 pounds. The goal might be, I want to, I don't know, have a sharper, clearer, more focused mind, right? I don't know how you quantify that, but I'm sure there's a way to, and I would definitely try to quantify it. All right. But you have to parlay that into what does that mean in your life? So like thinking like, hey, I want to double my revenue. Okay. What does that mean for you? Like, does that mean anything personally? Or can you say like, why do you want to double your revenue? Well, because I'm going to be able to do X, Y, Z, right? Because if I get to this amount, then I can have time freedom and I can go see my kids more. Or, I want to, live longer, so if I lose the weight, get down to a certain body fat percentage, I'm going to be healthier. And hopefully that down the road, I'll be alive, be able to be alive for my grandchildren, so on and so forth, so like, you got to connect with that deeper why.
What's your why?
What's my why? Oh, that's a good question. And I think there's different portions of my life, where you have different whys. And I kind of just said some of them, right?
Yeah.
It's like, for me, it's like, I want to have that time freedom to where I can make sure I'm there for my kids, So, money buys some of that, right? You always want to provide more for your kids than what you got. And I had a good childhood, my parents were divorced, or some things with that, but in terms of, we weren't dirt poor or anything,
Sure.
So I'm sorry, I don't have the rags to riches story. But you always want to provide more, and I think about other things, I want to be the best that I can be because I want to provide, have a good marriage with my wife. So, we don't end up divorced. I want to change that in my family.
Right.
Right. I want to be healthy. I want to, get down to a certain body fat percentage. So there's, my family, there's heart attack, stroke stuff that runs. Okay. So how do I minimize that so I can be here longer for my kids and grandkids and heck, great grandkids, So we have to connect with those and we have to keep those whys. Dan, how about you? What's your why for some of the things that you do?
Mine is mostly, it's probably time and money freedom, I would say.
Yeah.
I would say mostly time freedom. And I didn't know this until I was probably a year into, quitting my job. But I can't stand having things on my schedule, or being in a process that's so inefficient, because my natural inkling is to go and make that better.
Yeah.
And it usually doesn't help. Like if you're in a corporation and you're trying to make a process better, it's probably either not going to be approved, or it has to go through like a whole list of bureaucracy to get there, or it's going to get stopped by someone who might be jealous of you. So like if you're trying to change corporations, it's probably not the easiest thing. So I was getting frustrated and I was like, I want to do my own thing. And having things that were in the way was a problem for me. So that was like the time freedom. And then obviously money can help that. So I want to get to a point where, money can solve those money problems, and then I can create more problems in my life.
And I think about, kind of like secondary consequences too. I love studying like leadership and like what makes great leaders. So me and my wife, Dan, you kind of got us on this. We talk about our Enneagram, so I'm an Enneagram type 8, so my personality, we do not like injustice, so when we see, like when I see a leader, act in a foolish way or treat people wrong, it pisses me off. Like
Yeah.
if you want one thing just to get me going, it's that. Start saying, okay, a leader does this. They got an ego, so they treated this person that way. It's a good way to set me loose.
Yep.
And so I think about, hey, down the line, how can I impact more leaders so they can start doing things the right way? And look, there's no perfect leader. If we fall short, in some way with people, it's just what happens. But as a leader, you need to follow up and say, hey, that's my bad. I don't think there's a lot of leaders that do that anymore, of saying like, oh, they're not looking at where they may have fallen short and are proactively saying, I'm sorry. Typically a problem arises, their pride gets in the way. They just don't pay attention. They don't think that I can have possibly done anything wrong to hurt somebody. Right.
Yeah.
So I think about, hey, I'd like to get to one day where I can impact leaders in a positive way to be the best that they can be for the people that they're leading. Right. So that's a little bit of my why too. It's like, I want to impact people that way. I want to challenge leaders that way, because I know it's going to affect the leader's life, but then everyone that they're leading. And typically business owners, right? We have to be focused on our leadership. So, got to know your why. Okay. Yep. And then Dan alluded to this earlier. Number 3 is you're going to fail. And this is the thing about consistency is, if you're trying to hold yourself to perfection, you will not make progress. You just won't, because what's going to happen is you're going to miss a day because you slept like crap, or your kid kept you up one night and you got 3 hours of sleep, or a meeting got moved, or something else happened. Something happened with a client. You have an emergency. You're going to miss a day.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the key. Don't turn one day into 2 days. You have and Dan's alluded to the 24-hour rule before. Is like, hey, if you have a big success, you have 24 hours to celebrate, then you're back to it. Same thing on the bottom side of that, right? Something doesn't go right. You have 24 hours.
Right.
You're back to it 24 hours later.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't let, and I'm going to use baseball. I played baseball growing up. I coached baseball, competitive baseball. And I think about a hitter. A good hitter is successful 3 out of 10 times, right? We would say a 300 hitter is actually a pretty consistent hitter, right? Yep. So could you imagine if he let one at bat run it for him? No, he gets right back to the next at bat. There's always a next at bat, typically, right?
Yeah, typically.
So you got to have the same mindset. Like, oh crap, I missed a day. Okay, I'm gonna have some grace for myself. Right. Number 1, have some grace. I'm not going to be perfect. We're human beings. We're not one of us is perfect. Right. And you forget about that and you just tackle the next day, because you're going to fail. So if you are so fixated on your failure, oh no, I'm not going to lose my 10 pounds because I missed one day. Well, you weren't going to lose it in one day either.
Yeah.
So you just get back to it tomorrow. You weren't going to double your business's revenue in one day. If you're trying for that, good luck. If it happens, let me know how you did it.
I've definitely tried for that. It never worked.
It's never worked. And it's never worked. There's not one deal that's going to double your bit. It's going to be the small things, right? And if you miss a day, okay, let's get back to it tomorrow.
Yep.
I think we've all been there. I know I've been there, and that's just real. Like, I've missed a workout and I've let one workout turn into a week of not doing it. And then a week turns into 3 weeks very quickly. Yep. And then you're like, now I got to start. And then it's like, crap, at that point you are starting over. If you miss 3 at that, you're like, okay, now I really messed up now. So don't let it snowball, right? Stop it at one day.
Yep.
And get back to it, And
that goes for like the results too. Like the 24-hour rule you're talking about is, you can have the success and you can have, the day where you can just live in it too. But if you're living for those, you're using your plans to create a process, and that process is, let's take 3 to 5 years, and the only thing you're fixated on is the result, then once you get to that result and you only have 24 hours to celebrate, guess what? You got another 3 or 5 years left to make another process. And maybe that's where your goal is. You're going to be one depressed person for 10 years.
Yeah.
I was before the show, I was telling Andrew how that's kind of funny to me because that seems like you get 2 days out of 10 years to be happy. And I think so many people live their life that way when really you can just fall in love with the process or find something that you enjoy doing. And those 10 years are amazing. And maybe you have, a couple bad days in between.
And I start like whenever I find myself thriving in life and just being in a good place mentally, emotionally, I start focusing on the story of it. We had Kevin Lavelle on.
Yeah.
We talked about story. So it's like, look, you are never going to arrive. If you think there's this one goal you're going to hit and that's it, you are like poorly mistaken. Like it's just not, that's just everything we do is in a journey and a story, So it's like when you start taking your perspective and looking at it that way, what Dan's saying is like, there's not going to be this moment that you're just like, boom, I hit. Yeah, there's goals inside of that you're going to be happy to hit, but
right.
The goalpost moves, So it's like, okay, if your goal is to get to 1 million, when you get to 1 million, are you done? Is that at 1 million? Now you got 24 hours, and guess what? Now it's like, okay, let's get to 2.
Yep.
Yeah,
and you use the case of 1 million. Let's say you've made 1 million. And usually the case is you make more, you spend more. So now maybe you've had in that timeline, you've increased your lifestyle a little bit, and now you need to increase it. So now your back's against the wall, and you're making $1 million.
Yeah.
Now what?
Right. So and that kind of leads to 4s. You have to trust the process.
Right.
I've shared this before. If the process is good, the result's going to be good. And that's not focusing on the process to get the result. That's just like, I really want to be a great at this process. I really want the journey to be good, and, every journey, every story there's not every day's perfect, so you're going to fail, but then you have to trust the process that it's going to bring about the result that you want to bring. And this is the problem. I think most people find it goes back to that instant gratification is they want it tomorrow, because they want it so badly. And then they fall off because they get burnt out because they're going too hard, or they fail, and then they parlay that into 4 weeks. Well, if this was going to take you a year to get to it, now you just delayed that another year. You could have been, 48 weeks down, right? There's 52 weeks in a year. You could have been 48 weeks down until getting it. Well, now you're starting the clock back over.
Right.
Because you didn't find that consistency, right? It's a commitment. Right, it's not a flash in the pan. If you think these, the game changers, they were a flash in the pan, something big. I've seen it 1 out of 100 times. There are some people that something happens, right? But I would bet those people did some other things before that thing happened, right? I would bet those people made some personal decisions, changed their mindset, and then something catapulted them. But if that's what you're looking for, that's like expecting to post trying to go viral.
Right.
It's not going to happen. It happens to the people typically that are just putting enough content out that are consistent, and then one thing goes viral. It's not a intentional thing.
Even if something goes viral, like I would say 99% of those posts don't make money or anything.
Yeah.
And if they're getting followers, they're garbage followers. Like, what are they following? Like something funny, or like they could be following something that you failed at that has nothing to do with what you're trying to post for.
Yeah. It's just funny how we think, so yeah, it's a commitment. It's not a flash in the pan. Got to get organized. Got to know your why. It has to be a life impact. You got to plan to fail. It's going to happen. You are going to fail. And then lastly, you got to trust the process. Consistency. If you're asking one question, how do I get to the next level? It's consistency.
Right.
How do I become limitless? Consistency. It's not going to be a big moment that all of a sudden you've arrived. It's going to be consistency. And most people, they don't want to hear that. You want to, lose 20 pounds. It can be consistency. Yeah. If you want to double your business, it's just going to be consistency. Yep. If you want to have better friendships, it's just going to be consistency, right? You want to have a better marriage, consistency. It's just like, it's not going to, not one thing is going to turn the tide. Okay. It's just going to be the small things every single day.
Don't
Dan,
live your life trying to play the lottery.
Yeah, that's not a good life.
No.
It's a good way to go broke.
Yeah, it is. Unless I just watched a movie on it. Anyways, it was a good movie, but they were playing the lottery and there was a flaw in it. So unless there's a flaw in it and you're a mathematician, don't live that life.
No, most people aren't. It's like counting cards. Takes a
Right.
really smart person, right? Awesome, guys. Well, you guys enjoy the weekend. Share this podcast with someone that needs to hear that consistency is going to lead to their goals. Peace out, guys. Hey, if you haven't rated or reviewed the show yet, please take 2 to 3 minutes to do so right now on whatever platform you listen on. It really helps the show rank better when people are searching for new podcasts to listen to. You can also follow us on Instagram and Facebook, where we post daily clips from the episode. And then we're just going to ask you to share those clips, right? You never know who of your friends are going to see that clip, and then they're going to start listening to the episode, and then their life changes because they hear something that really helps them overcome a challenge that they're experiencing in their business. It's really going to help them create breakthrough in their business and become limitless. Also, one last thing. Right now, we are offering a free 7-day trial into our Inner Circle group, Limitless Business Owners Inner Circle. And inside this elite group, you get to learn how you can experience immense, consistent growth inside your business, where you learn the strategies and tactics to grow your business, right? Surround yourself with like-minded people, other business owners that are experiencing what you're experiencing, that are going through it right now, that you can build key relationships with and learn from. And also some people ahead of you that can also teach you something that's going to help you overcome something in your business right now. And then last thing, you can leverage the strategies and tactics it takes to build your dreams and fulfill your purpose. Talk soon.